Do you think we're the only life form that exists on planet Earth?
Let's just say it's possible that there's more out there. Why not? Right? I mean,
Yeah,
always shoot for the stars is my motto.
there you go. And I think maybe on the other side of the stars, there's somebody that
Could be.
maybe even looks a little bit like Billy Stevens. Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe there's like a planet full of Billy Stevens.
Oh, maybe there's a planet full of Jonathan Bannisters.
Now
Who
that
knows?
that would be a cool planet. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home Service Hustle. I am your host, Jonathan Bannister, and today's guest is Billy Stevens, the owner and founder of Sarah Dispatch Software. Billy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Appreciate you coming into the hot seat, and I know you've got some amazing things that we're going to be able to give to our audience today. We're going to talk about marketing, we're going to talk about money, we're going to talk about mindset, but first I want to talk about Billy Stevens, how you got into this business, because I don't believe it was HVAC's all you've ever done your whole life. Is that correct?
That's correct. My dad was a plumber, and I was able to do all the grunt work. I never really learned the plumbing side of it. And I wanted to be the home builder, so I went in the home building side of it. And basically fell into the space because the owner of our the plumbing company that was doing all of our work, he passed away, and they were unable to keep up with our workflow. And I went over there and talked to them about it, and they said, look, we'll raise your prices 20%. At the same time, we're going to tell you it's going to be 3 weeks. And I'm like, wow, guys, we've used you for quite a while now. And they go, well, we're just so busy. And so I said, well, I'm going to find another plumber, and appreciate it. And I spent 2 weeks looking for another plumber. Couldn't get anyone to bid our work. Went back over to Berkey's. Apologized for firing them.
Apologize for showing up to their office.
Yeah, and said, you know what? If you can still come next week, I'll pay your 20%. And they said, well, sorry, we took you off the board. It's 3 weeks from today, and the price is still 20% higher. And I said, well, is there any way I can get involved in this? This sounds really good. And long story short, I ended up owning the company about 60 days later. Totally new construction company. Half of the people walked out of my meeting the first morning that I introduced myself.
Well, you have a way of, you went into the first meeting, they gave you a 20% price increase, and you go into the second meeting, everybody walks out. So
yeah. So I bought the company and then raised the prices another 20% for the builder I worked for. So I still thought they were too cheap. So anyway, that first morning was kind of, like, oh my gosh, did we make the right decision? My wife and I, both of us quit our jobs. We just flat quit and started running this company.
So let me understand that. So you were building homes?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you're building homes, you get a price increase, you see there's obviously opportunity, but there was also a demand there. You needed it, right, to run the business you're running. So you go from a contractor building homes, kind of in a pinch because you're needing these plumbing jobs done.
Actually, I was an employee of a home building company. I didn't own the home building company at that time.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't have any money.
Okay.
I was broke. We borrowed $10,000 from my father-in-law to get Berkey's. He gave us $10,000 for cash flow, and he signed on the note for us. And I don't know why he did it. That's pretty risky, in my opinion, looking back on it. But I was able to pay his $10,000 back in 3 weeks with $500 interest, and we were off to the races. So within a year, we sold the new construction. A little over a year, we sold the new construction company, took that money, and went 100% service.
Okay.
I liked the fact that I was getting paid every day. Now, I was
Yeah.
only charging $55 an hour back then, time and material, and then this new flat rate thing happened in the mid 90s, early to mid 90s.
So let me ask you,
yes,
but let me ask you there, what kind of numbers was the company doing when you bought into it? or maybe even once you got rid of the new construction, what was the split like between, was HVAC even part of it, or was it just
No, there
plumbing?
wasn't HVAC yet.
Okay, so just plumbing. Okay, so I'll let you get
Right.
to
So
that
the
story.
split was this: it was 98% new construction, 2% service.
Oof.
That's
Okay.
basically what it was. And I knew what it was like to be on the builder side, and I didn't want to do that anymore.
Okay.
I knew that I'd be chasing my money. I had a large accounts receivables, all these things that kept adding up on me, and I needed to get into the cash side of the business. So we went absolutely 100% into service with very little service. Basically, we were doing probably in the neighborhood of $20,000 to $25,000 a month,
Okay.
and I took 3 office people and 2 plumbers over there, uh, and started our own little company and started marketing it. So without much money, we had a little bit of money from the sale of the new construction company, and we began marketing as best we could. Back then we didn't have Google, we didn't have all these nice things we have now. We had the yellow pages, and we had direct mail and radio and TV. And radio and TV were way beyond my budget.
Okay.
And yellow pages, just it wasn't a fair system. I mean, once someone got on the front page of the plumbing section or the HVAC section, you couldn't get them off. They were getting all the work, and you just struggled while you were sitting in the back.
You didn't think that was a good system? Like you could have just renamed your company um, A Berkey's, and then you'd have been in the first place,
I
right?
would have, but you know what it made me do? It made me start thinking outside the box, which is what I'm really good at. I'm really
Yeah.
good at problem solving. And so what I found out was when you move, they disconnected your number if you left that area code or that city. Um,
Oh.
and so we started taking all the yellow pages, and I had a girl that all day long, all she did is we would take and call every single plumbing company in the Metroplex. And if the phone was disconnected, we got it connected. And we kept doing this until we had over 100 different lines running into our office. It cost us like $29 a month for these lines. And what changed everything is a really large new construction plumbing company was just down the street from us. They did 2,000 houses a year for the past 20 years, so they were started in the 70s.
Okay.
Fortunately, they put stickers on every water heater they ever installed. They moved to a smaller town to get out of the city because they were new construction, didn't really matter where they were, and they had to turn their phones off and get new phone numbers. Well, we took their phone numbers, and then our business started growing like crazy.
Oh wow.
So we just started doing this. It's because I couldn't get on the front page of the yellow pages. The value of direct mail was so low, the expense was high, the return was low. We didn't have Google. We didn't even have email back then. And so we just started thinking outside the box. The next thing we did is we bought Hackney boxes for our trucks. And we had this big billboard, and we actually turned our plumbing company into a billboard. And that's when we launched HVAC. Once we had enough customers for plumbing, we launched the HVAC. By doing this, we did it all on the back of memberships. I got our plumbers to start selling memberships. Um, the more memberships we sold, the better opportunity we had at building an AC company. And what I found out from this formula is if you can sell enough memberships, and I like to say 500 per million in revenue, a really strong amount is 1,000 per million in revenue, which is what we obtained over the years. And it's just looking at things a little bit different than the way everyone else is looking at them and simplifying the process. And that's exactly what we did at Sarah. I mean, the software out there today is getting to be, 10 years old, kind of built on the same premise as the way we've always ran these companies. And Sarah was created to eliminate all of the hair on fire that we experience every day. And it completely drives more business to you and increases your cash flow and simplifies the whole process. And
Look at
it's
that.
just a next level of software. I mean, everything gets dated And we're in a situation now where the software that's actually out there, even some of the new stuff that's come out in the last couple of years, is still built on the old premise. Dispatcher runs your whole company. And that's just not a viable way to build a company and keep your costs low so that you can go out to market and be cheaper but make more money. And that's really what we're trying to do here is everybody's competing on price. Our prices have gone up so much in the last 24 months. I mean, the price increases are crazy right now. Well, you can't continue to charge more and more and more to these customers if you want to be viable in your business. You have to figure out other ways to cut costs, and this is what we do. We really help you organize your business so that you can cut the cost so that you can continue to sell your equipment as a better price and make higher margins. And it's really been unique in how we've helped so many people do this.
All right, but we're not going to go into the details yet. I'm going to cut it off right there for just a second. So, you said you got the digital billboards, or not digital, but you got the billboards on the box trucks, right? Mm-hmm. And then you brought in HVAC, and you said you got your guys really, really good at selling memberships to the point where you were $1,000 for every $1 million in revenue.
That's correct.
How? And this was in late '90s, early 2000s.
So this was early 2000s, all the way through till I partnered with a PE firm in 2011.
Okay.
From that point, yes.
Okay, so tell me in late 90s, early 2000s, what was your formula for selling the memberships then? How did you get to that ratio that you were at? Because you didn't have Sarah yet. Probably some struggles that you had because you wanted that number to even be higher, pushed you to implement some of the things that you have into the software now. But how were your guys getting so good at selling club memberships at that time?
Okay, so we started in 1999. So we bought the plumbing company in 96. In 99, we added HVAC.
Okay.
And I hired a guy that had run an HVAC company before. And he says, you got to have memberships. And back then it was service contracts. He never used the words membership. We created a membership as we got more sophisticated. And I said, okay, so what do we do there? Well, you charge, a certain amount per system and how much time you're going to be there. Usually you should charge between $200 and $300 for these things. And I said, okay, well, let's do that. Well, what I found out is we couldn't sell very many of them. Most companies, even today in 2022, when we see these new companies come on board, they don't have more than 300 memberships because they're trying to make it a profit center. And that is absolutely the wrong way to do it. I know that's what's being coached out there, but it's about gathering customers. It's about gathering as many customers as you can so that they can use you and spend money with you because they become comfortable with you.
I also think you got to think in terms of who's running everything on a global platform these days, and it's the people controlling the data, right? Like Facebook and Google and these other points, they control everything, right? So it's because they're collecting data. So to your point there, I also think if you're collecting the data the correct way, your numbers, I've seen your numbers, and we're going to talk about that in much more detail, what's going on at Billy Go and how you're getting so much of your top line revenue is coming from your club members. Like, that's proven. So why charge more, charge less, and get as many club members as you can? But I think also if you're collecting that data, you have the capability to be able to market to your customers, which are going to be easiest people to sell to because they already have trust in you and your company.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct. They know you. They're comfortable. They trust you.
Right. Okay. So what were you implementing? Obviously you felt like lowering the price was the right thing, but how are you getting the point across to your team to go out and sell these? Were you trying to sell only mainly from the field, the techs, or were you letting the CSRs do the selling, or was it a combination of both?
Absolutely, it was a combination of both. Basically, what we did is we understood two-tier pricing. You have a member rate and a member rate, right? And you have your percentage of spread on that. And if you put a 15% spread between the two and you sell your memberships for $99, in most cases, it's always cheaper to buy the membership and get the discounted savings. We don't offer water heater flushes. We figure that, I mean, a water heater flush is is revenue. It's not a part of a membership. And so our memberships consist of discounted pricing, 1 hour appointments if you schedule online, and you get ahead of non-members and all these other little things that we do. You get
But was that back in 2000 you're doing
Oh,
this?
absolutely. And you got a spring tune-up and a fall tune-up on your air conditioning systems every year, all included for $99.
So
And
tell me what your thinking was back in 2000-ish. What was your thinking on getting people to sign up through your website?
well, back in 2000s, we didn't sign up through the website.
Okay.
We didn't have that technology.
Okay.
Right? So
Okay.
that's what we can do today. Right?
Okay.
And we'll get into that and why we should do it like that.
But did you give them any special incentives for signing up a certain way in the early days?
Oh, absolutely. They got, like I said earlier, they got the spring tune-up and fall tune-up on their air conditioners, and they got a free plumbing inspection.
Okay.
Okay, so we gave those things, and back then we gave priority service because we didn't have the technology to do 1 hour appointments online like we do now.
Okay.
So we gave priority service, and we did our best to do that, and we gave discounts for after-hour service on the dispatch fee. That's all we gave them.
Gotcha.
But what we wanted is we wanted to have our guys be able to go back into the house at least 2 or 3 times a year so that we can look at, more things and get the opportunity to show what we could, help to improve the customer's home and all those things. And that was really the key here is how do I keep doing that? But the other byproduct of this is once I started gathering so many memberships, I was able to hire AC techs in the off season and give them work 40 hours a week doing tune-ups while they were at their other companies, they were sitting at home. And so we were able to build our business every single year based on how many memberships we sold.
Okay.
So if we sold 1,000 memberships in a year, that's enough for me to go hire 2 more technicians in the winter. And I go get the best technicians. You don't have to settle for what's left over like in the spring, late spring. In the dead of winter, you have your pick of the litter, if you will, and you can get the best guys on your team, and that's how you build your business super fast. Okay. That's the whole idea. So we had over 20,000 air conditioners under contract, right? Under membership contract.
And I'm sure that's a real easy formula for the people out there listening, for your comptroller or your CFO. Today's, to be able to look and say, all right, what is it going to cost me to get one of the best technicians I can get my hands on, and then let's figure out how many memberships have to be sold in order to pay that person's salary.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the formula is simple. If you could at least get to 500 per million, you can add a tech or two every single year and grow your business. That's the key. And each one of those techs you add, if they're great selling techs, which we use selling techs, if they're good at selling tech, your business is going to grow by whatever amount you feel like that guy can bring in. Maybe he's a $500,000 a year guy, maybe he's $1 million guy. And your business should grow by that amount. We estimate that if we bring in a selling tech, we're going to get about $750,000 per tech. That's our average. And so that's why we always strive for more memberships so that we can add those 2 to 3 guys. And so in 3 years' time, Billy Go is another company I own. I built that company only because I wanted a live company to beta test our software. We had to test it from day one, and it's very important that we didn't make any mistakes, and it was correct once we offered it to the public. And by doing this, we were able to get rid of the things that made our life difficult. We were able to simplify. And
so let me back up and ask you.
Sure.
How did you plan the plumbing? Or two things I want to ask you. One, how did you plan the plumbing side? Because you said it included a plumbing inspection. Do you currently do that now at Billy Go?
Yes, sir.
Same formula. So
Same formula.
Okay. And do you have plumbing memberships, or do you just have HVAC memberships and they get a once a year plumbing inspection?
One membership.
One membership.
One membership, and you get the plumbing inspection and tune up in the spring and fall. You get 15% discount on all pricing, but keep in mind, the way we do it is the discounted price is the price that you have to make to meet your margins. Sarah is built on you building margin pricing so that your financials will reflect what margins you're setting your prices at. We also stopped doing what we call flat rate today. The way you do those formulas, there's a million different ways to do it. We stopped doing that in 2003, and we went to margin pricing. And by doing margin pricing, I could affect my P&L statement immediately and make a big turn in my cash flow immediately.
Okay.
And this is how Sarah set up your business on margin pricing. If you want to make a 65% gross margin, then you set it up that way, and then Sarah will help you maintain that through efficiency.
So it's still putting out flat rate numbers essentially, but it's based off of the margins instead of just some numbers that someone else gave you.
Those
pretty
bazillion
much
numbers that they make you put together and
right.
And do all this stuff, and then when you get your number, then they go, okay, so let's divide it by 2.
Okay.
And that's 50% efficient, and we're like, oh, let's be 100% efficient. Know what our margin should be, and let's go make that money.
Right.
And so think about it. In 2010, when I started talking to this PE firm, we were doing 24.4% EBITDA. That's our cash flow. So for every $1 million of revenue, we were keeping $244,000, or we had $244,000 to pay for whatever.
Okay.
And this was obtainable because of our members started buying 2.5 times what non-members would pay. They would buy, even the numbers today in Sarah says that Billy Go's members spend $2,400 a year versus $900 for a non-member.
Yeah, and that is the number one thing, Billy, that every time I see your numbers inside of Sarah software, that is the number one thing that sticks out to me. And I want to tell every person listening to this, like, if that is not enough proof, for you to start getting really, really focused on selling memberships, I don't know what is. All right. And I think it's pretty common sense, right? Like, all of us, if we think about it, if we have a relationship with a company, and it could be where we get our haircut or where we get our tires changed, it is much easier if we like that company and we're there on a regular, consistent basis. It's much easier for them to sell us additional items because they've already built trust with us. Like, we feel comfortable being there and inside of their store, so we feel okay swiping our card with that business. And I'm telling you that these people that are under contract with you, they feel protected in some way. They feel a sense of comfort. So you should be offering them everything under the sun. Like, when you go get your oil changed, like, they try to offer me windshield wipers and new car smell and every single thing else that they have inside their shop. Well, they're right to do that, right? Like, they have you. They now know that you're going to be a consistent, regular person getting your oil change there. So the numbers, when I see that, Billy, I love it, right? Because I had this argument with people for the last 7 years. I feel like what clients of ours over at Cornerstone feel like, oh, well, it's a loss leader. Well, no shit, right? Like, it is if you only look at the numbers and go, okay, well, this is how much I pay the technician, this is how many times he goes out there, and this is how much I'm going to charge for the club membership, I'm losing money. Well, it's not as black and white and clear cut as that, but it's not. for one, if you just look at it as, do you ever plan on selling this company? Like, do you have 9 kids that work for you? Because if your answer is this isn't going to be your retirement, or your retirement is going to be based on selling the company, it's really not worth anything unless you've got a ton of assets and a ton of memberships.
That's right.
Because I mean, I don't think a PE firm wants it when you go, oh yeah, I'm doing $15 million and I have no maintenance agreements.
That's right. Reoccurring revenue is what they want. And you have to get reoccurring revenue to get higher multiples. And that is exactly what these guys want.
And it's funny because you say reoccurring revenue, it's also reoccurring. They like knowing that they have a pool of people that they get the market to.
That's right.
Because they're going to go in and feel like, I can turn this customer that you're only making $500 or $600 off of, but they have been paying you a club membership for 4 or 5, 6 years. We know we can get 2,000 or 2,500, like something like your numbers are. They see the multiples because they already see they don't have to go out and acquire that new customer. That's right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And memberships are the key to growing your business quickly and owning your own backyard. I mean, I see so many companies that are in big cities, or maybe they're in the country or whatever, in the smaller cities.
Yeah.
And they drive 100 miles to go do a service call, and you don't have to. Focus your marketing in a 15-mile radius, build your membership base off of these people. They become your biggest fans for your company. You get the branding that you would never get any other way. People are loyal to brands. It's no different than a guy like in a Ford versus a Chevy versus a Dodge. They love what they love, right? And once they love your company, they tell other people about your company. You should use this company. You should use Billy Go, or you should use one of the companies that are on Sarah, because they see and feel the brand. Now you have a reason to talk to them. You're showing them trust. You're giving them what they need. Billy Go started with 0 customers on purpose. We could have bought a company and made another big one. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to build software and share it with the folks in the industry. It's about time that we have something that helps us build our businesses and gets rid of all the chaos so that we can get our lives back. I mean, there's just so many people out there that they work so hard and they just bring the business home with them as well. Even the larger companies that we're talking to, and the PE firms that are interested in going on Sarah, they see how much money they can save because they don't have an over-bloated, big Oracle type software. They have a software that has a direct job to do, and that's automate as much as possible, drive memberships, drive EBITDA, cash flow, and driving the margins. And if you do these things, your business will turn around, and it turns around immediately. We see effects on the companies in the first 30 days. It's immediate. The technicians respond to our tech app because it's simple to do and it's simple to sell from it. They can build multiple quotes in 3 minutes. And another thing is we've gotten rid of all the conversation, not all, but 90% of the conversation between the tech, between the dispatcher, between the CSR, between the customer. You know, a service call. Let's just talk about a service call, not software at all, just service call that we run. Each service call you run has a minimum of 28 touches by multiple people in your office and out in the field. And we took that number and we deducted it down to 3 touches. The way we were able to do that is because we have 3 pieces to our software. We have the customer portal, which drives all of our customers to the website. We have the admin, where we automate and run a lot of the business for you. Sarah works in the business so that everyone in your business can work on it. And then we have the technician app. And all 3 of these are an integral part. Without these 3 things, it wouldn't work. We need those 3 things to work together to eliminate all these wasted job touches and moves that we do every day. So imagine if you could eliminate 25 of the 28 touches on a service call, how much more efficient you could be and how much more time you would have to work on other projects, money operating projects, rehashing, all of these things that you just don't have time for. And our solution to this is hire another person. That's our only solution right now with what's out there today. Hire another person to take care of this. Hire two people to take care of that. Oh, I tell you what, let's give 5 jobs to one person because we can't afford to hire someone right now.
Right.
And then they get nothing done. This is what we're trying to eliminate and have done so with all of our customers. We have hundreds of users right now, and we've only been out since October. And
let me ask you about the 28 pieces, Billy, the 28 touch points. Was that I'm sure y'all, I mean, look, you owned a large business for a long time. You knew the touch points, but is that pretty standard across the board?
Yeah, that's a service call. It doesn't matter. That's just a service call. We're not talking about software. We're talking about anything. It doesn't matter. Every single business has at least 28 touches on a service call.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, I'll give you a short little brief description of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So you have a CSR answer the phone. That's a touch, right? Customer calls in, CSR answers the phone. It's a busy day. Dispatcher's already yelled out or sent an email, however they're doing it in that office, and said, we can't take any more calls today. But this is a great call. This is a good one. She's been trained. Some meeting, she was told, we always book these calls, but yet dispatcher said, nope, can't take any more calls today. Well, so she puts the customer on hold and she reaches out to the dispatchers because she's doing what she was being trained to do. And so when she reaches out to the dispatcher, that's a second touch, right? So we got the CSR reaching out to the dispatcher. Then the dispatcher goes, well, let me see when someone's going to be done. So then she goes and reaches out to 1, 2, 3, 4 different technicians, however many. Let's just say 1 in this case. And she gets back to the CSR. All this time, the homeowner's either on hold, doesn't know what's going on, or maybe they booked it and said, we'll get there, whatever they did. But now we've got the dispatcher being distracted from her job, which is dispatching. We have her trying to make even more decisions than the million decisions she has to make today. And with Sarah understands an important call and it understands an important call. Maybe a call that's not as valuable, say a 5-year-old tune-up, or maybe a 7 or 8-year-old tune-up is not as valuable as a 12-year-old system that's not running. Unfortunately, the dispatcher can't, she's got 10 trucks, she's dispatching 5 trucks, whatever it is, and there's these lesser calls on the board, and it's just too hard to move all of this stuff and add in these other calls. Sarah makes the determination that, hey, I've got a good tech for this job. I know we can make money on it. And Sarah takes that call instantly. There's no reason to talk to anyone. Even if the CSR answers the phone and the same thing happens, Sarah will, once the CSR puts in the 12-year-old system, no cooling, Sarah will present a time slot for that day and push something of lesser value out of the way and put it in unassigned. And then you need to make a decision. Do we call this customer and delay it, or do we call this customer and reschedule for another day? But we're taking this better call because Sarah put it in the slot for the best tech available at the closest possible time or the nearest possible time. And these are the things that we do to eliminate touches, and it just goes on from there. We talked earlier about the dispatcher reaching out to the technicians to find out how much longer they're going to be. Sarah automatically knows how long they're going to be. If a guy sells 4 hours worth of work, it's updated instantaneously and in real time. And this is all patent pending technology. And it's automated so much out of the busy flow of each day that our companies are able to focus now. And so what happens is you can have a dispatcher. The best dispatchers in the world can maybe dispatch 10 trucks. Maybe, and that's tough. But with Sarah, they can do 20 or 30 because 90% of the work has been taken care of instantaneously in the software.
Yeah, and that's huge, right? I mean, because we're talking here, everyone, like this isn't, and I said this offline before we got on here, we need to look at this from not just a profit margin line. Like, I think all of us should be worried about our profit margins. We're business owners. We have to make money. If we don't make money, we can't keep the business going, and we can't keep hiring more people and providing, for more of our community. So we have to worry about our profit margins. But this isn't just about how do we make more money and not hire more people. We want to hire more technicians. We want to get more club members. We want to hire more service managers, right? But we don't have to have our internal CSR and dispatching staff 20 and 30 and 40 large anymore, right? And you're going to cut down on mistakes. You're going to be able to make sure that, like Billy was saying, that the right calls are being booked with the utmost urgency there. And I've seen this live, like right after the snowstorm here in Dallas. You and I were on a call last year, and we were looking at it, and it was kind of like y'all were multiple weeks booked out on the plumbing side because everybody's pipes cracked here in Dallas. But we got on and we set up an account, and when I put in for, I think it was a leaking faucet, it said it was like 3 weeks before you could get to me. But whenever we selected that, like, my foundation was cracked or something and there was a major issue, something opened up later that afternoon or the next day, y'all could get to me. And I thought, look, that's the way we should be running a business. That's the way, that we make sure that we get to the most important customers in their most needed times. But we're also going to be able to make the most profits in our business. And as far as the staffing goes, I've got some numbers here, and Billy can talk through them. Where you are today in 2.5 years at Billy Go?
It's 3 years. We turned 3 years old on the first of the year.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So 3 years old in Billy Go, and you had Berkey. I mean, Berkey's was, how long has they been around?
96. It was Berkey's new construction up until I took over in 96.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're, 30 years?
Oh, yeah.
That's 30 years now, right? I mean, I think that's the number.
26, I believe. Yeah. 26 years.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what I'm looking at today's date as the 24th. All right, so let's act like I know math, because if it was the 24th and it was year 2024, it would be 30.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Technically, 2026 would be 30, sir.
Okay.
It's okay.
So, the same place you are now with revenue with Billy Go, when you were at the same place with Berkey's, you told me you had a internal staff of 17, and you currently have 7.
That's correct.
Okay. Like, I want everyone to understand that. The same amount of revenue that Billy is currently doing at Billy Go, he has 7 employees because of the software that they're utilizing. They had 17. Don't look at it just as less amount of people. The business isn't going to run the same way. I mean, guys, this is 2022, and there's a lot of software out there that, if used correctly, can help make your life more efficient than you will ever imagine, right? So, Billy, what does that look like from efficiency perspective, mess ups as far as making sure that the right people are being booked, and then, I mean, what does 10 salaries not being on your overhead look like?
Oh, that's huge. That's the thing here. So our overhead is. Our entire overhead for the company is 32%. All right, because we have been able to keep it down and grow the business. We have lots of people come to Billy Go to observe, because they've never seen anything or heard anything like it. And the comments that they make are it's so quiet in here. It's really like there's not even a business running. And we're like, yeah, that's how it works. I mean, we let Sarah do a lot of the work, and we just kind of are like, monitors.
I've been there. I want everyone to know what he's saying. I walked in, and at the time, there was only two ladies, I think, that were working down dispatching or taking calls. And I sat into chairs in the hallway, and I'm like, it is eerie quiet in here to be the size company that you were. And you're running Billy Goat down at the bottom floor and Sarah at the top floor, and I'm telling you, you would have no idea because there's like no one there, it seems like. And you have way more people upstairs at Sarah than you do downstairs at Billy Goat, and that's just mind-boggling to me, because any of my clients that I will go visit, and typically I'd say a lot of them are small, less revenue than what you're doing, way more employees all over the place.
Yep.
And I just think more employees, one, it's a more overhead cost to your business, but you've got more room for error. You've got more issues. It's just more pain points overall the bigger you grow. And I think that growth really comes, the pain points in growth when you're growing a business, I really think comes from the scalability of the employees. How do you feel there, Billy?
I agree. I agree with you 100% on that. I mean, you have to be able to scale your business without having to scale the overhead first. And that's unfortunately the way it is with software out there today, is you got to have people to run it. Just other software is basically a placeholder, and you put it somewhere and you just hope you can find it if you need it. And that's not what we are at all. We're completely different. We take the information, we do things with it. I mean, even the equipment, when you enter it into our system, it actually has a birthday. So once a model and serial number are entered and we find out what year it was built, it will age every single year. So when you do marketing campaigns and you just want to talk to people that have equipment 10 years or older, all the ages are accurate. So it's not like you put in a 7-year-old piece of equipment 3 years ago, and you go to run a marketing campaign today and you push 10 plus years, that's 7-year-old equipment, and other software is still 7 years old. And so you're missing out on that potential 10-year-old system that could be hearing the message that you have to say. And so these are the things that we do to make it simple. And no one ever goes back and changes those ages, right? I mean, it's just, no one would. And that's just the little things that we keep talking about, is how do we just get rid of just all these little things that create the chaos in your office? And how do we streamline it and make it very easy to grow your business? Whether you're small or large, the effects are huge for both sides companies. Not only do we cut costs, but the way we built it, we create more customers, which creates more revenue, and then we cut costs. And back to what I was saying a minute ago, Billy Go's overhead is 32%. So if we make a gross margin of only 60, the math on that is a 28% net. And that's where market margin pricing comes in. We did achieve a 26.1% EBITDA for the year of 2021. Think about that for a second, 26.1% EBITDA. My old company, Berkey's, was 24.4, so we've improved it by 1.7%. And we really feel like we can get to 30% as we raise the margin.
What was your overhead, Billy, at your old company?
It was running around 45.
Okay.
Right? And then we were charging about a 68 gross margin back then. And then the EBITDA ended up being 24.4. But what I was about to say about Billy Go is we gave away to our employees, we gave back about $160,000 to all of our employees because our margins were so high. We had the money to do that. So when it comes to the holidays and people need money the most during the holidays, we were able to give every employee thousands of dollars to make their holiday great.
That's
and
awesome.
What this builds is culture, and it keeps your employees staying there. You can pay your employees more if they deserve to be paid more, because you
probably doesn't
people.
hurt recruiting either when the word gets out.
Hurt.
Yeah,
doesn't hurt at all.
right.
We have a patent pending pay system as well, which we can get in on another podcast.
I've seen it. And
it deserves its own podcast, right?
I love it.
And
I think it's amazing. You're talking about the spreadsheet grid.
yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely love it.
Yes, sir. It's very simple to do. We, we talk to a lot of our clients when we're implementing Sarah, and it's amazing how much time as the companies are, the larger they are, the more time is spent by department managers and payroll clerks trying to figure out the complications of all the payroll. And on the average, a department manager spends about 2 days trying to get the payroll right so he can get it to the payroll department so it can be paid on Friday. And we eliminate that 2 days worth of work. We take it and turn it into 1 hour. And that's just what we do. We just get rid of redundant, senseless work.
Yeah.
So we can run more efficient businesses. And, everybody talks top line. Top line is important. We're going to help you grow top line, but it doesn't matter if you don't fix the costs of running your business. If you want to be competitive with your air conditioning equipment or your water heaters or whatever you're selling, you need to control your cost, and you need to know what your costs are. We help you understand your financials. We give you the right margin that you need to be successful so they will start turning around immediately. We've taken several companies, but this one in particular was on the verge of going bankrupt, about to lose $200,000. They were trying to go to their parents again to give them money to save the company. So we took over August 22nd in 2020, August 17th in 2020. And we did the same amount of revenue with Sarah in those last 3.5 months that they did in the 8.5 months. Not only that, we turned that $100,000+ loss into just a loss of about $30-something thousand. Then for the year 2021, the company had never gone over $1 million in revenue. They did $3 million in the first year and made about $750,000 in 12 months. And they've added air conditioning since then, and they're planning on doubling the business after they just tripled it. So they went from $1 million to $3 million, and now they're expecting to go to $7 million is the goal.
And I've seen this demonstration. You've showed me the numbers, and guys, it's coming from the memberships. They were able to sell more memberships, and the members are clearly representing way more of the revenue, the top line revenue. Is being generated from these club members than non-members.
That's
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And the fact that we allow online booking, which 62% of the country would rather book online than talk to you on a phone. And you're missing out on that. Angie's List, Home Advisor wouldn't even exist without online booking. They don't have call takers.
Correct.
And they're stealing everyone's calls and selling them back to you. So we help you combat that with our proven formula that we get all of our transactions to happen on your website. And what that is we send your customers back to your website to look at their invoices, to look at their warranties, to look at whatever they need for however many houses they have. If they have multiple homes, everything's kept separate. They can book anytime they want, and they can have all this stuff on the website. And by doing this, Google sees that these customers that they originally sent to you via PPC or SEO, however they sent them to you, continue to come back and continue to go to your website. And when that happens, Google starts sending you buyers instead of shoppers.
And that is because of the word data.
That's right.
Data. Whether you like it or don't like it, it doesn't matter. They want your data, and all of your data is already out there, so don't get weird about it because it doesn't matter. And no, they don't really care about you specifically. Mm-hmm. So just get over it. But because of that data, they are rewarding the Sarah users.
Yeah, don't worry about the data because unfortunately, some of the software contracts you've signed, you don't own your data anymore anyway.
Right.
So, and that's unfortunate.
Well, I mean, look, Google gives you the free email, and Facebook allows you to use their platform for free. Nothing in this world is free, so accept that.
Gathering data.
That's right. That is correct.
And that is exactly what we're here to give them data on time spent on the website seeing that these customers are giving 5 star reviews, and this is all connected to our software. It's all part of it. That's the beautiful thing about it. You don't need all this extra stuff.
Yeah.
We simplify it. We handle most of it. Whether you're large or small, it doesn't matter. We can help your business a ton. Um, Even though we went all in on online booking, we're going to introduce telephony in February, and we'll have the most robust telephony you've ever seen, with reports, graphs, and everything. And so we are taking care of both sides of this. But the most important thing is you can get caught up on something that some other software does that you like or whatever, but if it's not moving the needle for you, if it's not changing your margins, it's not increasing your cash flow,
That's right.
then why bother with it? This
Yeah.
is what we're here to do. We're here to help you get your business running as efficiently as possible and making the most money as possible, very simply. And by doing this, you will prosper. You can grow your company. Even if you're a large $20, $30 million business, we can see substantial growth happening in your company. We're seeing this all the time. If you're a small business, we can implement this. Instead of having to hire all these people, hire technicians and let the software do the work for you. And as you bring in more money, then if you want, you can add another person or whatever. Where the opposite is true today, where you have to hire people first before you can hire technicians. And that's just not the way it should work.
Oh, I 100% agree. All right, we're getting low on time, so let's pivot real quick. So I want to talk about the mindset real quick. Let's talk about Billy Stevens' mindset when we could probably all agree and guess on your buyout numbers here, but you could have retired and Miss Stevens probably, she probably wouldn't have been happy for long having to see you every single day inside the house, but you could have just went away and lived comfortably and been in retirement. What pushed you? What was your mindset for wanting to create this piece of software to help this industry?
I just felt like I wasn't done and I didn't give back. I just wanted to give back what I was able to experience. I don't know how many people know this, but theoretically, it's a fact. We started this whole PE thing in 2011 when I joined this PE firm, and we just started paying real money for companies back in the day. This was all the way back I started talking to them in 2010, 2011, May 5th of 2011, we did a deal, and then we created this company called Berkey's Holdings, and then we went out and started buying other companies. That company is now called the Wrench Group, and it started in my company in South Lake, Texas in 2011. So 11 years ago, almost, this got started. And it got started because they saw that you could really make a lot of money in this industry based off of what I was doing in my business. And I'm just trying to give that back to you. I want you to be able to make the kind of money we were making. And you don't have to work harder for it. You just need to work smarter and give your people the opportunity to help you make a efficient company. And that's all. I just wanted to give back. And so I have a real funny story here real quick. I did retire for a while, Jonathan. I did take a couple of years off and not really think about the industry. I needed a break. I needed a reset.
Okay.
And after a while, my wife kept telling me, she kept saying, "Billy, go do something. Billy, go do this. Billy, go do that." And that's what I named my plumbing company,
Billy Go. I love it.
That's how we ended up with that. So
that is hilarious.
Yes, sir. That's how it all got started.
So let me ask you, what advice do you give to a contractor? And I know it'll be easy for you because you've got the example of the company that you just, what is it called? Something Frog?
Blue Frog, a franchise.
Blue Frog, right. Okay. So, I know the success there with that particular franchise and what you've been able to do. What advice do you give to a company just starting out? All right. I would typically in the past say, worry about, getting some business in the door, anything that'll help you dispatch your customer stuff will be fine. I now do not think that same way because one, I understand margins and profitability and things like that now. So I understand how important it is to get those numbers right out the gate. So for a new business, a business that's struggling, like the one that you were talking about in Austin there, what advice do you give to these people when you would think changing a piece of software or something like that would be the last thing they're thinking in their business whenever they're losing money? All right, but what advice do you give them, not as a software owner, not me as a marketing company owner, but what advice do you give them as, Billy Stevens, the former, air conditioning contractor that had a very successful business and still has one today? Billy, what advice do you give them?
So I have two things that attribute to my success, and I really recommend this for everyone. First and foremost, find you a banker and make him your friend. And if ever you're in trouble, you let him know before you're in trouble.
I love it.
This is the number one thing, is you have to make that relationship, and you have to be honest with them at all costs.
Okay.
Second of all, make an appointment with that banker. If he's really into you, I recommend small independent banks, not large ones, because you're a number. Go to a small independent bank, make the banker your buddy. I go all the way to the top if I could. Make the president of the bank. If he'll spend time with you, that's important. He wants successful businesses. And the next thing I would do that was fortunate for me, that I had a banker that took a chance on loaning me this money. Most banks don't take chances. It's all about, you have to have the collateral. But he
Correct.
took a chance, right? He knew that he knew I was honest. He knew I was going to let him know if I was in a jam. And the business already had some revenue. So he knew I could, at least pay the payroll and pay the mortgage payment, if you will.
Okay.
So find you a good banker. And second most important thing of all is learn how to read a financial, please, and make it your duty to read and learn that financial every single month. Get you a good CPA and go to that banker and sit down with him and review your financials and talk about the little things and how you can affect things. I'm going to be doing more podcasts and stuff like that on our own about financials through our Sarah channels that we have for all of our users. And we do a lot of financial talking. I look at every single customer that we have at Sarah. We look at their financials and we set up their business based off of what we read there. That's the most important thing. Even if you don't find a banker buddy, find someone to help you understand your financials.
How long did that take you to get both of those nailed down?
So fortunately, the bank I went to ended up being the banker I kept forever. He's still one of my great friends, and we still talk every month. We still talk numbers. We still talk about my financials, even though I know what I'm doing, but I still do it. It's been 26 years. I still do it. And he gives me a different way. I'm an entrepreneur. In my mind, I can make success out of anything if I put my mind to it. He is, and he doesn't mind me saying this, he is the guy where the sky is falling. And so he's a great partner for me because he lets me see the other side. Mm-hmm. Yes, I understand. I know you can do what you're doing, but let's think about it like this. And that's what you need from a good banker, because they are conservative by nature. That's why they're bankers.
Right.
And we're entrepreneurs, and we need bankers that invest in us, their skill set that they have, and use it to the maximum. And if you do this, you can grow your business. When you need that van, you find that perfect technician, and your business is struggling, you're probably going to have to go buy a beater. Well, if you go buy a beater van, you're not going to get the best guys. You need to have relationships with your bank and know your financials. When he knows that you understand what the financial is saying, he's going to give you the money you need to get that van.
Yeah.
He gets it.
So
that's my advice.
There's a clear difference between accountants and either a comptroller or a CFO or somebody like that. Like one is looking at the money as it comes in and what do we do now that the money's come in, and then one looks at forecasting when X amount is going to come in, or this is what we're going to bring in, and then what. So when did you clearly define those in your business? How important are they? This is something that I'm talking to all my current clients about now. Is I don't think a lot of them know their numbers the way that they should. I think you would agree with me because you
I would
talk to
agree.
contractors every single day.
I do.
They just don't. They know that top line number. They know where they want to get to, but they don't really know their numbers the way they should. When did you bring in that comptroller or CFO role person into your businesses?
When I about lost my company.
Okay.
I mean, I had no other way. I had to bring in better accounting as the business got bigger. I had to understand that, you can't hire 3 or 4 call takers because the phone's ringing more, but if you don't have the technicians to do the job, it's just making you spend more money. And those are the things that get you in a trap. And I experienced that trap myself, and my banker, called me on the carpet and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I've got all this work, but I don't have anyone to do it." And so I got more people to handle the call volume so we don't make people mad. Well, no, that's wrong. What you want to do is you want to manage your business for what you're capable of doing and make the best out of that business through your financial statements. It doesn't matter if you have an $800,000 business or an $8 million business. If you manage your financials, you're going to make money. It's not about being the cheapest. It's about being the one that is priced correctly. And once you're priced correctly and understand what you need to do to make money, the rest will fall in place. I know this sounds weird because everyone talks about, I did X amount this year. I did X amount that year. When you stop chasing the top and start fixing the middle, the top will respond.
That's right. I love that. There's a couple. I love that you said stop chasing the top, top and focus on the middle. The top will come. And also, you said something earlier about owning your backyard. And I think those are 2 amazing tips that if people will focus on that 15-mile radius right around them, own it, brand the hell out of yourself, market to that area, let you become the leader in that area. You can always expand a little bit if you need to, right?
That's
but
right.
Chasing those calls an hour, 45 minutes away just because you're desperate, it's because you're not focusing enough in your backyard. So I do like that.
And Sarah's designed to create that 15-mile radius, by the way. You can actually create that on the software, and it will not send you beyond that if that's what you choose to do. Whether you make it a 20-mile radius or whatever you do, Sarah will not send you any further than that. It will keep the calls in that area. And just think about how much more call volume and how much better you could do for your customers, with their SEO and all that, if you focus on a smaller area.
Mm-hmm. But I'm also thinking about controlling the memberships, because if you had that pocket that you were dominating and you own the memberships there, well, it's a lot easier to have your guys dispatched when you're talking about for what'd you say, for every 500 memberships hire another technician.
Yeah, so as you get to where you're 500 memberships per million, you can start adding more technicians every year, 2 technicians a year, as you continue to grow your business at the same rate as you grow your memberships.
Okay.
And then it's key to do this. One of the things we didn't touch on is, I know we only charge $99, but that $99 is being paid to you to be a member, right? And so we use all of that money. Right now at Billy Go, we have over 2,000 members, and at $99, it's to round it up, that's $200,000 a year that we have. Now I have almost $20,000 a month. My members have paid me on a monthly basis or an annual basis, however you want to get paid, to market for new customers. I get my customers to pay the marketing. So Billy Go runs on about a 3% marketing budget. And we're growing, we're doubling the company every year on 3% marketing, because we get our customers to pay for it. And, so,
and I was saying earlier that you could look at it as, you could figure out those margins and those numbers and figure out how many memberships does it take to cover that new technician you pay for. But it could either be covering the technician salary, or it could be looking at covering your marketing budget. Either way, it's you need those memberships. You don't need them. I mean, I say you need them. You say you need them, right? But it's like those memberships still could cover 70% of all your revenue. Like it's clear that there is a strategy here that your members, because of the brand awareness, because of the trust, because of what they've already bought into your business, they are going to purchase more from you. Like the same exact service call, if you take that A-B split, they are more open to buying more IAQ and probably a more expensive system and God knows what else, because they have that trust and credibility in that relationship with you. I think it's pretty easy. All right, so we're about to wrap up. Billy, last thing I want to ask you here is tell us what Billy Stevens' thoughts are on alien life form.
All right, that's a question I wasn't prepared for.
It's called a curveball. So there's something to this, and you'll see other episodes. But I'm a little, fascinated or maybe infatuated with, alien life forms. So I like to get some of my guests' perspective.
Well,
do you think we're the only life form that exists on planet Earth?
let's just say it's possible that there's more out there. Why not? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
always shoot for the stars is my motto.
There you go. And I think maybe on the other side of the stars, there's somebody that
Could be.
maybe even looks a little bit like Billy Stevens. Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe there's like a planet full of Billy Stevens.
Well, maybe there's a planet full of Jonathan Bannisters. Hell,
Now that would be a cool planet.
Well,
Billy, I appreciate you coming into the hot seat and joining the show. Obviously, we got a whole lot more that we could talk about. I'm super excited for you guys and everything that Sarah is bringing to the industry. And, what I like more than anything about having you on the show and some of the things that you talked and gave back was that one of your main whys of, developing the software was because you felt like, you weren't able, or you didn't give enough back, and you had the opportunity to now, and that's what you're wanting to do. And I love, having an affiliation with good people that want to give back to this industry. So I do appreciate it.
you're welcome. I'm just blessed that I had the opportunity to do it, and it makes me feel really good about, things that we can actually give back.
That's right. This is a great community of people and a lot of hardworking, blue collar people that, love what we're doing. And I think if we could find a way to keep them in business longer and maybe, putting a little bit more money in their pockets, or making it to where they can actually hire more good people in their industry, it makes this whole thing a better situation. So thank you so much, and look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Billy, have a good one.
All right, you too.